What if the Jedi Council asked Padme to spy on Palpatine? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. Padme was more than a little surprised when she heard the Jedi Order's request for a meeting. She had expected that this might be to discuss the plans moving forward after the Battle of Coruscant. But as she sees their representatives make their way inside her office, she can tell by their grim expressions that it is something far from peaceful.
Senator, thank you for meeting with us. We have something to discuss of grave importance. As you know, the Chancellor has been in power for longer than his allotted term. He has justified such actions due to the Republic being at war, but we must consider the possibility that this is an excuse and that he intends to stay in power far after the war ends.
Worried the Jedi Council is about the future of the Republic, should this come to pass. Fight to preserve peace, we do. Not prop up a dictator, but to ensure democracy, we do.
Padme's eyes narrow, and she looks at the two Jedi Masters. This was not how she had expected this conversation to go, but she would also be lying if she didn't worry about that same thing too. Since the war started, Palpatine has been accumulating more and more power, from stripping away social services from the civilians to taking control of the bank. It was also unprecedented, and more importantly, approaching something close to a dictatorship.
I see. I will not pretend that I haven't had my worries as well. I think it is important that we work together to ensure a peaceful transition of power after the war ends. What were you thinking?
Actually, Senator, we were thinking of a more proactive measure. As it stands, we aren't sure whether Palpatine even intends to return emergency powers when the war ends. He certainly has not indicated it in his public appearances. That is why we are hoping for your help. We wish for you to keep an eye on him, to learn what he intends, in private.
Now she is truly speechless, as she considers the full implications of those words. What they are suggesting is not only incredibly risky, but also incredibly illegal.
You wish for me to spy on the Chancellor?
Not easy, this request is. But close you are to the Chancellor. Almost as close as Skywalker. Believe he may be more willing to expose his plans to you. We do.
Then why not ask Master Skywalker? If he is closer to the Chancellor than me, wouldn't he be more suited to watch him? It certainly would seem less like a coup if he were doing it.
We have considered it, Senator. The problem is that Skywalker is too close to the Chancellor. We feel his decision-making might be compromised.
I understand.
She does. She knows that Anakin was practically mentored by Palpatine. He is incredibly close to him, and that favor has only grown since he saved Palpatine during the Battle of Coruscant. It would be difficult for him to even consider betraying the trust of someone who was that close to him. She promises to consider their offer and thinks long and hard about it when they are asking. While she sees the validity in their arguments, she also sees the danger it poses. They have no proof that Palpatine is up to something, and trying to investigate now could set a dangerous precedent. But as she shares some of her concerns with Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, they all share the Jedi's concerns and admit that they are worried that Chancellor Palpatine is planning something else. Some of them have heard whispers of strange commands and inconsistencies in the budget. The more they talk, the more concerned Padme becomes. She realizes that there is more happening than she realizes, and if the other reformers are getting worried too. It's one thing for the Jedi to be this paranoid, but it's another if other senators have their concerns. With some hesitation, she decides to take action and make her move. With Palpatine getting busy with the Outer Rim sieges and the aftermath of the Battle of Coruscant, Padme offers to help in whatever he does, citing their old relationship and serving Naboo. Though slightly concerned, Palpatine gladly accepts the offer, especially with Anakin vouching for her. In truth, the Chancellor recognizes the effect Padme's presence has on the young Jedi, and believes it may hasten his descent to the dark side. With that in mind, he welcomes her involvement without hesitation. Padme, citing her pregnancy, announces a temporary leave of absence from the Senate. However, with the Chancellor's approval, her assistance will ensure she maintains a lighter workload, allowing her to remain engaged without overexerting herself. For the next few days, Padme watches Palpatine go about his duties like normal. He meets with dignitaries, attends balls and galas, and gives speeches to the people about the war effort. Meanwhile, Anakin continues to fuss over Padme, asking her to slow down and telling her to take this chance to rest instead of focusing on work. But as Padme observes things, she notices something is off about it. The people he meets with, the likes of Kendall Ozzel, Tarkin, and other influential oligarchs and financial backers, the type of people he had sworn to get rid of. Next, during his speeches, he talks about maintaining security, and even hinting at keeping or even increasing some of the harsher security measures that he has put in place over the years. None of these point to someone who intends to relinquish power when the time's right. This convinces her more than ever to begin searching for evidence that something is going on. Her close access to the Chancellor allows her to begin looking deeper into this. While he focuses all his attention on Anakin, Padme takes the time to begin looking deeper into some of those meetings, double-checking all the things he's promised and trying to tie it into the supposed discrepancies. But the Senate databanks provide little information on this matter, as Palpatine and his allies undoubtedly are keeping things under wraps. So there is only one place that might have the information she's looking for: the Chancellor's computer. One night, while Palpatine takes Anakin to the opera, Padme declines to join them and says she feels the need to rest. The young Jedi approves of this and wishes her well. Once they are gone, Padme hurries to the Chancellor's private computers. With a quiet exhale, she accesses a restricted Senate intelligence frequency, cross-referencing recent transmissions flagged by Bale's network. Most are mundane, updates on separatist movements, casualty reports from the Outer Rim sieges, but one, marked with a priority encryption, catches her attention. A transmission from the Supreme Chancellor's office. Padme hesitates. If she opens this, she crosses a line, one from which she can't go back. But she presses forward, overriding the encryption barriers with her senatorial access code. The holofeed crackles to life. Two figures materialize. One she recognizes instantly, Admiral Williff Tarkin. The other is just outside of the frame, but she knows that voice anywhere. Palpatine. Padme presses a hand to her lips, forcing herself to stay silent, even though there is no way they can hear her. The sight of them together never ceases to unnerve her. Tarkin has always been an untrustworthy sort, and when she hears him talk, her concern only grows.
The new order is nearly within reach, my lord. We will soon enter an era of security and prosperity for all under our new administration. Do not get ahead of yourself, Admiral. There are still obstacles to this plan. Are you certain that we can take care of them? I have spoken to our allies. The transition will be a swift one. One order is all it takes. But I am concerned about what comes after. Establishing our new military will take time. We will need something to maintain order. Your concerns are noted, Admiral. What remains is ensuring we have a loyal enforcer. Fortunately, I have a candidate in mind.
Loyal enforcer? The words send a chill down Padme's spine. What would they have to enforce but a new rule? She clutches the edge of the desk as realization sinks in. This isn't about securing the Republic anymore. This is about destroying it. More importantly, what sort of being would support this plan? But one thing sticks out in her mind. That enforcer. He is trying to recruit someone powerful enough to ensure his will is done. It would need to be someone he trusts, and she can think of only one person. She thinks of Anakin and how close he's gotten with the Chancellor. Palpatine may well be on his way to grooming him into power.
See to it that everything proceeds as planned. The Senate will not resist when they are presented with security and stability.
The transmission dies out, leaving Padme in the dark. But while she is shocked by this revelation, it does give her some direction. She knows what Palpatine is working toward and where this budget is going. To a new military, one the Senate probably hasn't heard about. So, if she can find evidence of this, she can turn it against him. Before anyone realizes what is happening, she slips out of the office to make her way back to the apartment. Yet, when the next day comes around, Palpatine makes his way back inside and looks over the desk. He is about to sit down and begin his work, but he frowns and notices something. A few things. Several items in his desk have been moved without him realizing. He begins to rearrange them, and then begins to suspect that someone has been spying on him. Taking a deep breath, he finds one paperweight that has been moved and closes his fingers around it and concentrates. He then feels the force flow through the paperweight, and an image flows through his mind of the last person who touched it, Padme Amidala. He watches as she sits down and hurriedly begins typing on his computer. When he pushes it aside, rather than be concerned, Palpatine smiles. So the Jedi have at last made their move, and chosen the most interesting of spies. It is clever, but incredibly risky of them to use a senator. With the right moves, he can turn all of the Republic against them. Palpatine finishes arranging these things and starts working until Anakin arrives to help him today. Padme is called in sick, saying she needs time to rest with her looming pregnancy. Even better, He makes a show of appearing confused and worried as he goes about his business. As he expected, this doesn't escape the young Jedi's attention.
Chancellor, is something wrong?
What? Oh, no, my boy. Well, perhaps. Or it could just be an old man's delusions.
What's going on?
Well, you see, I could have sworn some objects were moved around from my desk last night.
How strange. Do you think perhaps the maintenance staff might have done it when they were cleaning today?
Perhaps. I would hope so. Otherwise, I would have to consider the alternative. That someone might be spying on me and trying to access my computer.
What? Who would be so bold as to do that to the Chancellor of the Republic?
Anakin, you would be surprised at how many people would have such a disregard for the law. It sometimes takes my breath away, too. Although I often appear composed in public, the truth is I fear for my life all the time. It is why I am glad the Jedi assigned you to watch over me. Knowing you are here to watch over me has done much to put me at ease.
Anakin can hardly breathe, taken aback by the words.
Chancellor, you have my word that I will ensure no harm comes to you. If you suspect anything, let me know, and I'll take care of it.
Palpatine squeezes his hand and smiles.
Thank you, my boy. I knew I could count on you.
Padme keeps her breath steady as she scans the documents projected before her. The dim light of her private study in 500 Republica flickers against her face. Her first instinct is to follow the leads given by Bail Organa and Mon Mothma, and which she retrieved from Palpatine's office. She works on trying to uncover their irregularities in the Republic's budget, discrepancies hidden beneath layers of bureaucratic jargon. But now, as she pieces together the reports, she sees something worse. Shipments of advanced armor, weapons, and transport vehicles, all routed through shell corporations. There is also recruitment information, files on soldiers from planetary defense forces, of notable resistance leaders, all from the Outer Rim planets that the Jedi just liberated. The Republic isn't just funding the war, it's preparing for something beyond it. Her grip tightens around the edge of her desk as she deciphers the latest transaction logs. The amounts are staggering, far beyond what the Republic military should need, especially with the war supposedly nearing its end. The names of the vendors stand out. Companies loyal to Palpatine, industries that once catered to Kaminoan cloners, now diverting supplies elsewhere. She tries her best to track them down and see where these supplies are headed. Most have been brought to isolated outposts far from prying eyes and are just waiting to be moved. Among these stations is Barton 4, which has been silent for almost a year. Days later, Padme finds herself aboard an unregistered freighter en route to a distant outpost listed in the supply logs. She tells Anakin that she is just heading to Naboo for a brief respite, something he fully encourages her to do. But in truth, she heads to Barton 4. Draped in a hooded cloak, she watches through the viewport as the barren planet looms into view, the freighter touched down. Inside, the station is nearly abandoned, save for the crates stacked high in the cargo bay. The garrison is reduced to a handful of people, including Commander Mayday and his men. But when they arrive, they urge her to send reinforcements, because they have been stranded with a virtual information blackout, as the Republic Command has not given them any updates beyond their standing order to continue guarding their cargo. She moves quickly, activating her datapad and scanning the contents. Armor, blasters, heavy weapons, and even parts for starships. The markings are unmistakable. While they are similar to clone armor, they seem different, meant for something new, and there are far too many of them to just resupply the existing clones. Then, she sees them. In the dim light of the storage bay, rows of pristine white armor-clad figures stand lined up in the shadows. They are not clones. They have no identifying numbers, no signs of individuality. These are soldiers of Palpatine's new army. But, as this happens, some of the clones report Padme's arrival in their request for reinforcements, something that falls in the hands of Palpatine, who regards Anakin with a smile.
My boy, I have received some troubling news. It seems one Republic official has visited an outpost on Barton 4, supposedly to raise morale. They claim they are acting on behalf of the Republic, but I fear this might be my spy trying to snoop their nose into things.
And what would you have me do?
I wish for you to expose this spy. Find out what they know and perhaps who they are working for. I fear they may twist what they find to use against us.
You can count on me, Chancellor.
Padme asks Mayday and his men about this cargo, but none of them know anything about this equipment. They don't know anything about what they are guarding, and when they open the crates, their eyes widen as well. But they keep her there for several days, looking at all the supplies and taking note of everything they see. This is all meant to take stock of everything, but in reality, Palpatine sent the clones a secret order to keep Padme there as long as possible, saying to take stock of everything for an investigation. As they finish taking inventory of everything, Padme tucks her list down and prepares to leave when a sudden noise behind her makes her spin around. Blaster fire erupts outside the station, followed by an explosion in the front door. Raiders. Padme ducks behind supply crates as a deafening explosion rocks the facility. The raiders, pirates or mercenaries, she can't tell, swarm in, firing indiscriminately. Mayday shouts for his clones to fight back. He tries to rally them, but they are badly outnumbered. Padme clutches her blaster, but keeps down as she knows she won't last long in a firefight. She watches as the clones are cut down one by one. Mayday is the last to fall. As the raiders roar around him, he fires with a blaster in each hand and takes out half a dozen of them before they cut him down. But as they approach Padme, the raiders roar and kick the crates aside, exposing her. They raise their blasters and reach out to grab her, but a familiar hum cuts through the noise. A lightsaber ignites, brilliant blue slicing through the darkness. Anakin. He moves like a storm, cutting through the raiders with swift, merciless precision. His eyes scan the chaos, searching. Then they land on her. His expression darkens.
What are you doing here?
Anakin doesn't answer immediately. He deactivates his lightsaber.
I should be asking you that, because I seem to recall you saying that you were heading back to Naboo. What are you doing here?
Anakin. The Chancellor. He's not who you think he is.
You're not in a position to be telling me what to think. You're the one lying about where you are. Now you're gonna tell me who put you up to this.
Anakin, please, calm down.
I'll calm down whenever I have answers.
The Jedi.
The words are like a punch to the gut for Anakin. He recoils as he hears this and stares at her in shock, looking for any sign that she might be lying. That isn't the case. But when he looks at her, he can tell it's true. His eyes burn, and his gaze shifts when he looks at her. It isn't with love or concern, but betrayal.
Padme, you're going to have to come with me. I'm taking you under custody until we can get to the bottom of this.
No, please.
It's done. I'm sorry, Padme, but you leave me no choice.
But as Anakin approaches, Padme steps back and looks around at the dead raiders. When she moves, her eyes fall upon one of them, who is holding a thermal detonator. Taking a deep breath, she whips her pistol out and fires at it. The explosion throws Anakin back and Padme stumbles away. The last thing he sees is her stumbling towards her freighter. When Anakin returns to Coruscant, Palpatine is completely sympathetic to Anakin, assuring him that Padme was likely forced into this by the Jedi Order, and ensures she will receive lenient treatment. But for the Jedi, there is no such mercy. They must be punished. He publicly announces how the Jedi betrayed their oaths, and how they had attempted to use a senator to spy on them. Palpatine makes it seem like they were blackmailing Padme into this. The words are enough to sway the Senate, who call for immediate action. Senator Amidala is forced to resign, but they call for the Jedi to be arrested. A choice is now made. The Order is to submit itself to the full authority of the Republic, or to be exterminated. The response comes quickly, and Mace Windu responds that they will not submit to Palpatine or anyone else in the Republic. The reason for their boldness is Padme, as she manages to escape to the Jedi Order, reporting everything she's found regarding Palpatine's plans to take over and the weapons he's been acquiring. With that, the Jedi prepare themselves for war, and the Senate at last authorizes the strike against the Jedi. Anakin marches through the front steps of the Jedi Temple, flanked by the 501st. But inside, the Jedi prepare themselves for war, and when the first troops arrive, they find the Jedi well prepared for them. Padme stands before the gathered masters, laying out everything she has discovered. The secret shipments, the stormtroopers, the final pieces of Palpatine's web of control. But as they hear the footsteps, Mace takes the data from her and orders her to hide. Anakin charges in, his blue lightsaber igniting in a fierce hum. With a swing of his sword, he waves his lightsaber forward and signals the charge. Hundreds of clones come rushing behind him, firing their blasters at the Jedi waiting for them. The battle rages all around the temple as clones split into squads and begin to fight off the Jedi. This fighting is intense as the Jedi fight with desperation for their very survival. At every corner the clones turn, they find Jedi ambushing them, and many clones fall before their blades. But many more fall before Anakin as he advances through the temple, cutting down any Jedi unfortunate enough to get in his way. He knows the Jedi have put her up to it, turning her against him. Palpatine suggests that they might even be blackmailing her or have corrupted her. He's not sure what, but these thoughts are never far from his mind and fuel him as he cuts his way through the temple in search for her. Jedi Knights and Masters all fall before his lightsaber until he reaches the council chambers. Inside, the Jedi Masters shift into defensive stances, their lightsabers igniting in response.
You're being deceived, Skywalker. Palpatine is using you for his own ends. No, it's you who are orchestrating a coup. You turned against the Republic, and you turned Padme against it too. You forced her to tell those lies. Think, Anakin. Everything you've seen. We can prove it, if you trust us. Answer me this. Did you tell Padme to spy on the Chancellor? We did.
Anakin doesn't answer for a long moment. He looks down at his weapon, and then springs forward.
Then whatever else, you have indeed betrayed the Republic.
Mace Windu intercepts him, their sabers clashing in a violent arc of light as he pushes Anakin aside. CC-10 and Kit Fisto move in, flanking Anakin, while Ajen Kolar joins the fray. Anakin fights with fury and precision, but the Jedi's coordination nearly overwhelms him. He parries with one strike only to be forced back by another. He is fast, but not invincible. The rest try to swarm him, using their powers to drive him back. But while Anakin might be on the back foot, he isn't helpless either. As when Ajen Kolar goes forward for a killing blow, Anakin catches his blow and shoves him back, then slashes him across the stomach. The other Jedi momentarily break their attack and stare in shock. Anakin takes this opportunity to renew his attack. He lunges at them, and CC-10 falls next, taking a slash from the shoulder to waist. But when he turns to Mace and Kit Fisto, who cross their lightsabers and block his next attack, and then, as one, they counter and shove him back. The two move in opposite directions and rush at him. He blocks Mace's slash and then locks his lightsaber, trying to push him back. But he cannot press his advantage as Kit Fisto strikes low, trying to slash at his legs and forcing him to leap back. Mace then counters with a thrust and tries to stab at him. Anakin sidesteps and rushes at Kit Fisto, who meets him for an attack. Rather than going on the offensive, he parries each attack, letting them batter themselves against him. And when Anakin exhausts himself, Master Fisto throws him back with a powerful slash that sends him skidding across the ground. Mace then follows up, and their lightsabers meet as Anakin barely blocks his next attack. When he looks over at him, Mace can see the anger in his eyes and feels it running through his attack and his body. But that is what Vapad was made to counter. And he lets the energy flow through him and he pushes back. The blow sends Anakin flying, and he slams against the wall. Mace rushes forward, preparing to finish him off when a familiar, chilling presence enters the hall. Palpatine. With a sinister snarl, the Sith Lord ignites his crimson saber and hurls himself into the battle. His attacks are brutal, lightning fast. Kit Fisto barely has time to react before Palpatine cuts him down. The Jedi Master gasps and falls to the side.
You've done well, my apprentice. Now, let me show you your full potential.
Anakin, breathing heavily, looks on in stunned silence at his master, but then joins him. Mace Windu squares himself, gripping his saber tightly, his face unreadable. The battle is far from over. Palpatine laughs as he rushes towards Mace, unleashing a flurry of attacks on him. Mace meets each attack, countering each strike with his mastery of Vapad. Sparks fly as their sabers clash, illuminating the battlefield in flashes of purple and red. Anakin takes advantage of the chaos and rushes towards Mace, sweeping his lightsaber across his midsection. But Mace parries the strike and kicks him back. Mace dodges Palpatine's strike and tries to rush at Anakin. His blows come quick, but the former Jedi halts them. From behind, the Sith Lord tries to strike, but Mace parries the strike and throws him back. Even the ensuing surge of power throws Mace back, but fails to crack his defenses. When Palpatine comes at him again, Mace sweeps his lightsaber down and sends him reeling. For a brief moment, it seems as though Mace has the upper hand. He parries a vicious strike and counters, forcing Palpatine to fall back. But from behind, Anakin rushes at him, sweeping his lightsaber forward and striking him in the rear, preventing him from delivering the final blow. The Sith Lord grins and unleashes a blast of Force lightning, forcing Mace on the defensive. Anakin rushes at him, and Mace barely halts his attack, but this time, Anakin is ready, and rather than hit him head-on, waits for the next attack and sidesteps it. In a lightning-fast counter, he thrusts his lightsaber across his chest. Mace's eyes widen as the blow lands home, and he's thrown back onto the ground. His lightsaber slips from his hand.
You've done well, my boy. Now lead our troops to victory.
Anakin leaves. Palpatine smiles and searches Mace for the data rod and destroys it. Without the Jedi Council, the Jedi Temple falls to their assault, and sacred territory begins to burn. But as they finish on the battlefield, 2 Jedi arrive too late to help, but just in time to witness the carnage. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Grandmaster Yoda arrive, their faces grim as they take in the devastation. Clones turn their rifles on them immediately, but with a flick of his wrist, Obi-Wan deflects their blaster bolts, sending them back towards their attackers. Yoda leaps forward in a blur, spinning as his green blade carves through the enemy ranks. Palpatine senses their presence immediately, and Anakin makes his way outside to join them.
Anakin, what have you done? Don't do this. There's still a way back. Twisted by the dark side, you have been.
No, I have witnessed the truth. I see now that the Jedi are the ones threatening the Republic.
Anakin lunges at his former master. Obi-Wan barely has time to react as their blades meet in a blinding clash. The force of the impact sends tremors through the ruined temple, but Obi-Wan pushes him aside and sweeps at him while Yoda prepares to leap up. But before he can close on Anakin, a powerful burst of force energy throws him back as Palpatine works at him. Yoda lands on his feet but leaps toward Palpatine, his green saber a blur. Palpatine catches his blade with his own and tries to push it aside. However, he's surprised by the little alien's green strength, and Yoda leaps over his swing. When the Chancellor unleashes a burst of force energy, Yoda redirects the energy back toward Palpatine, forcing the Sith Lord to leap aside, and then rushes towards him again, his movements a blur of motion. Obi-Wan fights desperately against Anakin, his strikes precise but defensive as Anakin advances on him, pouring all his anger and energy into these attacks. Every stroke forces his master back. With Palpatine by his side and the knowledge that he is fighting for the Republic, he is fueled. Yoda spins through the air, evading another blast of Sith lightning before driving his saber toward Palpatine's heart. The Sith Lord barely dodges, countering with a sweep of his crimson blade that snags against his robe. Meanwhile, as Anakin throws himself forward, stabbing his lightsaber, Obi-Wan slashes at his side and sends him hissing in pain. Obi-Wan raises his lightsaber high, but Anakin ducks low and lets the dark side guide him, driving his lightsaber into his heart. He gasps, staggering back as pain sears through him. His saber slips from his grasp, clattering to the ground. Anakin stands over him, breathing hard.
Anakin.
Anakin hesitates, but only for a moment. With a final stroke, his blade strikes true. Obi-Wan Kenobi, once his brother, falls lifeless to the temple floor. Yoda turns just in time to see Obi-Wan fall. His eyes widen, but he has no time to think on it as Palpatine rushes at him. The Chancellor takes advantage of his distraction, unleashing one final devastating blast of Sith lightning. Yoda raises his blade, but the sheer force sends him flying. His small body crashes against a crumbling pillar, and he slumps to the ground, motionless.
Rise, Lord Vader. The Jedi are no more. The galaxy is ours.
Later, as the Senate convenes, Palpatine presents his evidence. The proof Padme had risked everything to uncover is gone, destroyed in the chaos of the Jedi Temple's fall. In its place, doctored reports and fabricated transmissions paint a damning picture. The Jedi had been recruiting soldiers, secretly building an army to overthrow the Republic. The raiders that attacked Barton 4, Jedi agents attempting to seize military supplies for their rebellion. These supplies were simply to arm a new security force after the war. The Senate is in an uproar. Despite her protests, Padme is swiftly arrested and stripped of her rank as senator. The galaxy watches as she is led away in chains, a symbol of the so-called Jedi conspiracy. And in the shadows, Palpatine smiles. His plans have come to fruition. The Jedi are gone. The Senate is his. And Anakin Skywalker, his most powerful weapon, stands at his side, watching the woman he loves be cast down, believing it was all the Jedi's fault. There, he begins to train the boy as his student, promising to teach him everything. But most of all, he promises that Padme will come around. As she languishes in prison, Palpatine decides she would be a fine subject for re-education projects. And these promises that Padme will come around are enough to keep Anakin in line. It gives Palpatine the perfect tool to manipulate him and keep him, his new enforcer, under his control. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.